So for a review for your percents, the main thing I want you guys to remember is that there's pretty much three types of questions that you're going to see. The first and the easiest type is when you have a certain percentage of a number you have to find. Like it's pretty much going to ask you to find 15% of this number. For the most part, these are the easiest types of questions. Where the common mistakes happen, let's just talk about the wording of what that might look like. What is the tax and what is the commission are going to be the two primary types of issues you see with these questions. So if you take a look, like what is the tax, what's the commission, that's the stuff you're mostly going to need to worry about. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on how to do these. The biggest mistake, though, that you might run into is you have to convert that there to a decimal in order to use it. You can't just use your percent button, and I've mentioned this a few times. It's important you understand how percents and decimals and fractions all relate to one another. So 15% as a decimal is going to be 0.15. If you need help with how to do that, check the charts in the room or come find me. Of almost always means multiply, $24.99, and then you would just plug that in your calculator and you'd be done. Pretty straightforward, these types of questions. Now, the one thing I want you to remember is that you may have to add the value back onto the original or subtract. So keep that in mind. So the second type of problem you're going to run into is a little bit more difficult, but it's not super difficult. And it's that you already know how much discount has been removed in terms of a percent. You'll have been told that maybe 10% has already been taken off. Or maybe you'll be told that 15% has already been added on. It doesn't just work for discounts. It works for when you already know the percentage change that has happened. And what you're really going to need to do in these types of questions is try to understand what percent am I now working with if a certain percent has already been removed. So let's look at the example that we had the other day. We knew that there was a sale, and we knew that the sale was for 15% off, which we have right here. So what we need to be thinking now is, I started at 100%, that's what my price would have started at. If I have 15% taken off, what do I have left? And so I would do 100 minus 15, and I would end up with 85%. So I would know that $44.99 is 85% of the original price. Once I know that fraction, there's two ways to go about it. You can use the balance model. 85% of the original price is $44.99. Convert that to a decimal, 0.85. Understand that of means multiply, and then just get that p by itself. Isolate the price. The way you would do that right now, there's 0.85 times price, so I'm going to divide both sides by 0.85 to get price by itself. The other way you might want to look at it is this way, and this way is less useful in the future, but it's super useful for just this type of question. So if you're a little confused, go ahead and use this one. I know 85% is $44.99. If I know that, all I need to do is get this to be 100%, and then whatever is over here, if I do the same thing to both sides, will be my answer. And the way I would do that is divide by 85. 85 divided by 85 is 1. So I'm changing this to 1%. It's going to equal whatever this divided by 85 equals. And then I'm going to take both of these answers and multiply them by 100 to get to 100%. So you can see we did something similar down here. The question in this one is phrased slightly differently, but you use the same methods, which is where you're told already that you know an amount that's remaining. So you know they're pretty much telling you that 60% of something is this. Whereas before you kind of had to figure it out. Up here you were told you had 15% off. And so you had to figure out that 85% was something. For other questions, they're just going to tell you that already. they're going to tell you straight up that 60% is the 600. And so you can solve it the same way as we would up there. You can use the balance model, convert to a decimal, divide by that decimal, and you'll end up with your number. Or you can understand 60% is 600, turn it to 1%, divide both sides by 60, and then turn this to 100%, multiply them both by 100. So take a look at those. But again, these are the things you're going to see a lot of when you're dealing with percent problems. So the last type of problem you might see is where you're given a starting amount and another amount, and you're going to be asked how much percentage-wise was the discount, or how much percentage-wise did it grow or shrink. So basically, you just need to be able to get to a fraction where there's the amount that it has changed over the original amount, because it tells you the percentage of the original amount that this changes. Just like if you wrote a test, and originally you got 35 out of 41, and then you got 41 out of 41. What would the change be? It would be 6 out of 41. And that's all you're really trying to figure out. So once you find the change, drops you down, or sorry, you change by 6, you drop by 6, do 6 out of 41, then you find the decimal, you do that, 6 divided by 41, right in your calculator, it'll give you this, then you convert this to percent by multiplying by 100. So you can see in the second example, 190 to 260, it went up by 70 cents. 70 cents out of the original 190 equals that, equals that, equals that. So keep that in mind, and good luck.